When I chose the first college I would attend, I made the wrong decision. So I'd like to help others keep specific things in mind to be closer to selecting the right college that is for them. Before choosing a college or career, reported 64% of college students did not complete a bachelor's degree within 4 years. And obviously that has a lot to do with what college they chose. When selecting a college, it's easy to go with which is convenient. So we'll be narrowing the choices down to 3. You need to keep in mind where the colleges are located at and how big they are, what the size of them are. If you were to have a family emergency happen, would it take way too long for you to just pick up your stuff and drive home? Or are there things in town that's going to distract you? Like if you go to Texas State and San Marcos, are you going to want to float the river instead of go to class? So that's a big issue. Or if you go to College Station, are you going to want to go to Northgate the night before you have an 8 a.m. class? So you need to keep that in mind. Also the size, okay, you need to figure out if you are okay with lecture classes or if you need more one-on-one teaching, because that could affect your grades in a very large way. Okay, you need to have top 5 requirements that you absolutely want from college, and consider, do all 3 of them have all 5? If not, which one has the most? And you need to know whether or not you're willing to compromise on them or not, because maybe not all three may not have all 5. So you just need to decide that. If you know your major, does your college offer it? Do all 3 of them offer it, or does one specifically specialize in it, like Lamar with nursing? Because whichever college, if you have one that specializes in it, you're probably going to get your best education from that. And whenever you go and look for a career after you graduate, they might take into consideration that you did graduate from a school that is their specialty. Also, you need to keep in mind, are you going to have the self-discipline to make sure that all of your work is done and everything like that? Or do you maybe need to go to school locally? That way your parents can keep you on track rather than, you start hanging out with your friends on the nights where really you need to be doing homework and things like that. If you choose the wrong college, you could very well end up with a lower GPA, and that would affect whether or not you would graduate. There's many factors to keep in mind, but we're going to be breaking some down to omit some colleges. You also need to decide if 2 years or 4 years would be okay, or if it's 6 years to get your degree. Is it offered with an associate's, or is it offered with a bachelor's? So you could say that you did physical therapy assistant, that's probably 4 years, but if you wanted to be a physical therapist, you would have to go for 6 years to get your doctorate. So you need to keep that in mind as well. Are there any clubs or organizations that you absolutely want to join? And do all 3 offer them? Being involved is a wonderful way to stay school-oriented. Also, can you afford all 3 of them, or can you get financial aid from all 3? If you can get financial aid from one and not the other 2, and they have all the other factors, then maybe you need to choose that one. Let's see. I also read from 4 Big Years. They said it is a nonsense to assume that college selection is not based in large part on the financial resources of the student and his family. Family sacrifice is often inevitable, which I can tell you from firsthand experience. My parents took out loans, and they tried to pay as much cash as they could for my first year, and it didn't really work out, so it was a waste of money. But now I'm having to pay for it on my own, and it's expensive, and within your books and everything else, so you definitely need to keep in mind what you can afford, and you don't want to put your family in too much of a bind either. Are online classes offered? Between if you're working and going to on-campus classes, you might need to take online classes so that you can finish your major within a decent amount of time. Otherwise, you might be in for another year or 2. I know with my work schedule right now, if online classes weren't offered, it would take me forever to finish a 2-year degree. Like, that's ridiculous. So you definitely need to make sure that online classes are offered. And will your classes transfer? That's another big thing. Because you need to check around your hometown, because by a slight chance, We're trying to make this to where you don't have to go back home or transfer schools, but if you do, you need to make sure that your classes are going to transfer. Or if you're going from Blinn to A&M or anywhere, make sure that every class transfers, because I've taken at least 5 that didn't transfer, and that was a waste of time and money, and just having to retake them. Once you've weighed your pros and cons, you should have narrowed it down to one. Imagine how many people would have been successful college graduates if they had chosen the right college the first time. Some people probably get really discouraged because they just didn't do very well in college, but it's just because it wasn't the right one for them. I also read on College for All, is there too much emphasis on getting a 4-year degree? Even with remedial programs, college dropout rates have become unacceptably high. Many college non-completers do poorly in the labor market and would have been better off enrolling in 2-year colleges and occupational programs. So even if you are getting a little bit, of an education, it's still something rather than sitting at home on your couch and not furthering your education. Okay, with all this in mind, you can select the right college for you, and I think that you'll have confidence in your decision, and everything should go smoothly.